Yeah, everybody has had a pet growing up, but the real ones had an iDog. A few months ago, we went over all sorts of virtual pets and my cat's mortality. And he's gonna die soon. We got the first couple steps of my cat immortalization plan running, but I decided we need to give him a proper new body. He's gotta have all sorts of movement, not just be confined in this little digital prison as cool as it is. We took inspiration from virtual pets that were all the rage back in the day, but toy makers had to constantly keep evolving to keep the new generations of kids thriving. By new generations, I mean just a couple of years, and by thriving, I mean FURBY. This hamster owl-looking chunk of fuzzy plastic was an instant hit among kiddos everywhere, to the extent that these would resale at insane markups within just a few months. Non-organic pets up to this point could basically be considered a form of video game. But when FURBY went full force into the toy side of things, it was one step closer to being real for these kids. One step closer to sentience. From day one, FURBYs were relatively advanced. Of course, it had some basic movement with the face, ears, and feet, and it was even a main focus for you to be able to pet it, unlike the old Tamagotchi. But its real talents shine through with its supposed learning capabilities. When you boot up a FURBY for the first time, it exclusively speaks in its native language, Furbish. So they implemented language learning into its design to make it more and more relatable as time went on. Now this was basically all a hoax. FURBYs essentially just had a timer that slowly turned on English mode the longer you had it, but the illusion of FURBYs hearing then repeating phrases got them banned from intelligence agencies because they were too stressed out that these little creatures were gonna leak government secrets. I mean, I wouldn't trust it either, but that's just me. FURBYs got real evolutions over the years by adding in new features and improving on old ones. And with these generations came more and more money. This obviously opened the door for similar products to surface, from pretty normal to really weird. So we'll go over them and see which attributes we should port over to cat and what we can leave behind. FURBY had started a craze. All sorts of brands were rushing to get their own variation of the product out into the world, but Sony had already been developing their own robot pet since a few years earlier, with AIBO, or Artificial Intelligence Robot. While FURBY felt real in a lot of ways, one big disconnect was how alien it looked and acted. But Sony's approach was a lot more familiar, taking inspiration from real-life dogs, which is a little more on track with what we're trying to do with cat here. AIBO could respond to over 100 voice commands to act as closely to a real dog as possible. The main gimmick of this guy was that it was not a toy, instead being marketed towards tech enthusiasts and old ladies. Unlike FURBY, it used legitimate AI learning to adapt to its surroundings, meaning it could genuinely be a cool companion for lots of people, especially people that live alone like lots of the elderly. And while little kids surely would have also thought this was really cool, the price tag wasn't. AIBO got a few newer iterations, including just a few years ago with AIBO ERS 1000. Now it's even closer to resembling a real dog and it has a lot more abilities, and let me tell ya, this is the goal. Cat would love having such a complete body with all sorts of functions like this, especially just the responsiveness to commands and speech. So I'll try to get some programs running for that communication aspect. But sadly, I think we gotta step back the budget just a little bit and take inspiration from some more kid-focused toys, like Fur Real Friends, developed by the same brands as FURBY. These were meant to resemble real-life creatures this time, both in behavior and looks, other than the cute filter slapped onto there. These are fairly popular today, and they got all the functions you'd expect. Honestly, there's not a ton to say about these guys. They weren't doing anything too unique, just being a coping device for kids whose parents wouldn't let them get a real dog. But one really unique one was the iDog. Back in the early 2000s, Apple had already started their world domination with the release of the iMac and the iPod, which while they were innovative and cool products, what stuck out more was simply the I in the title. Companies all over wanted in on just a little bit of Apple's success, so they slapped that I onto any product that they could feasibly produce. iHome, iRobot, and iMacsoft are all not associated with Apple officially. Adding tech to random things was all the rage back then, so Sega said, let's do it to a dog. iDog is honestly pretty underwhelming when you compare it to everything else we've looked at. It's barely able to move and it has no learning abilities, but its one perk is iDog knows how to groove. Its sole purpose is to dance and light up to any song that it hears, later even getting its own speaker to play the music itself. I'm assuming this is what inspired Mattel to make this monstrosity.
What kind of move?
Like, whoa. You can think of fidget friends as a mix between the iDog and Furby, not based on a real creature and talking abilities, but very fake materials and music playback with some dance moves. I don't know, not a lot to say about it. I just wanted you to be aware of it. Anyway, I found this random speaker just laying around the house that also fits the eye naming scheme. I think this will be a good addition to Cat's ability arsenal. We can even take from Furby and add some speaking capabilities, because why not? We still need to figure out what we're doing for Cat's actual body, though. Oh, that reminds me, Zuzu pets. These little hamsters didn't focus too much on being smart, just zooming around and going with the flow. Just like real hamsters. The main focus of these completely contrasted the Furby. It really was just all about the movement aspect with basically no care involved. But at least with their appearance, you could feel a little emotionally connected still, unlike the super sick Hexbugs. Hexbugs weren't made to be a cute little pet that you talk to and take care of. They're here to scurry around, sometimes be remote controlled, and even battle each other. Overall, just going crazy and being tons of fun. Different variations had all sorts of abilities, but by far the most popular were Hexbug Nano. These have probably the simplest form of movement possible. They just vibrate, and since these legs are pointed like this, they'll move forward for the most part. I loved playing with these as a kid. And now, these are awesome. I remember building my own courses for these guys to race on, but you could even buy pre-made ones like Nanotopia. I really do like this concept, but I doubt that Cat's internals will get held up very well with this method. Something that definitely can support a cat though is a freaking Roomba. These robot vacuums have become famous as cat vehicles, which is pretty awesome. These might seem like a great fit for him, but they aren't really that smart and they kind of just bump into stuff. Mainly, I just think Cat shouldn't be working during his afterlife. He deserves to chill out like he does every single day. And while he's chilling out, let's start uploading Cat's consciousness to our program here, while me from another time builds his new body. Honestly, I think it's been with us all along, just not in its final form. Mario has served as a great decoration, but now it's time to give Cat a turn in the cart. So I took apart Mario's cart, mainly just taking Mario out and making some room for the flip phone and speaker, and I got some clay and paper to form the parts of Cat that were missing. I added a quick paint job, and I finally had a pretty solid result that I was happy with transferring Cat over to. So let's complete our circuit here, and we'll wait a while. But yeah, anyway, robot pets haven't been quite as viral recently, but that doesn't mean there haven't been improvements. Boston Dynamics have one of the most advanced and iconic robots around, Spot. This dog thing is built to be super smart, mainly in its spatial awareness and movement. Its price makes it seem a little more like a tool than a pet, but it's still got a little personality. And we're done! Cat, how's it feel to be immortal now? Whoa, trying to talk already?
What's going on here?
I just transferred your brain over to this little machine that you're in now.
Well, the old cat seems to still be functioning just fine without a brain.
Wait a minute. So what happened here?
Looks like you took Cat's mind and made a copy, mixing it with all the code from your computer in this super cool music mode.
Well, at least nothing went wrong. Anyway, I guess we're all good then. Cat gets to live his old life just fine while still being able to live forever. Cat, how do you like your new way of life?
Why did you give me wheels instead of legs?
Awesome, well, it's time to end the video. Go ahead and subscribe.